This is not the time to sell ADA. This is what a very well-known analyst is discussing. And right now, there are some striking similarities to 2018, 2020, and the all-time high pushes that we saw following those moments. In fact, right now, the metrics are looking quite good, and we're seeing some similarities to what we saw back in October before things began to take off in 2023. I want to discuss that with you guys in this video. I'm Luckside. Welcome to the channel. If you guys are new or haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. Hit that bell again. It's free to do. It'll keep you updated anytime there's new content live here on the channel. Now, despite our recent drops and recent consolidation that we've dealt with, djed, who I'm sure you guys have heard of, is saying that this is not the time to sell ADA. In fact, we right now are following very similar trends to what we experienced in December of 2018 and March of 2020. So he actually discovered that the price often at the bottom of the downtrend witnessed a higher formation in the RSI slope. Generally, a bullish divergence signals the buyers re-entering the market at discounted rates, which could drive a renewed recovery trend. So this is actually what we saw starting, obviously, after our COVID crash. This is what we saw as ADA was trying to bottom in the early part of the bear market cycle in 2018. And we know that this is what actually led us to our all-time high move of $3.10, or at least somewhere around there, right? Now, what I will say is that this aggressive slope that we're seeing in this recovery for ADA is something worth noting. All right. And this is all taking place while the MVRV ratio has turned negative. Now, why this is important is this can actually indicate an asset being undervalued. And ADA for a long time, we've talked about being undervalued. We talked about the MVRV ratio being negative. We've talked about the MVRV-Z ratio being negative. And this is basically giving people opportunities, giving us discounts. And this isn't even weighing into the fact of, the partnerships, the developments, additional liquidity possibly coming in from BTC. Now, all these positive things we've talked about time and time again don't get reflected in these charts specifically. And historically speaking, this transition that we're seeing into the negative for the MVRV ratio has benefited ADA price with some sustained bullish upswings. So right now, what this is essentially indicating is this may not be a bad opportunity to accumulate ADA. This isn't a guarantee. This isn't financial advice or anything like that. And I will say that despite the drop that we experienced over the last several days, it's been kind of quiet from whales. All right. Right now, they're kind of sitting on their hands. They're not really doing a whole lot. In fact, you guys can see what the net flows have looked like. We have the largest day we've had over the last week or so here has been to the tune of 56 million ADA added. Otherwise, it's pretty close to zero, right? Pretty close to the mean. And even yesterday, despite our drop, only 897,000 ADA in terms of net flows to the downside. So whales haven't caused these drops. It's just retail. Like we talked about earlier today, retail causing the same things. And what tends to happen is when there are discounts, these large entities step in and buy things up. And this brings me to this. We're right now witnessing some very striking similarities to what we actually saw in October of last year. This point where, again, you get to so many people that have sold. The asset becomes so undervalued, it becomes very difficult to push prices down. And in fact, this is what our trend looked like at that point in October. Again, I know I've done this before. It's eerily similar how this is tracking right now. And in fact, this, if we follow what we did in October, this is our last throw, our last fake out before the price moves to the upside. Not a guarantee, not financial advice or anything like that. At the same time, all of the things we're seeing in the market indicate that this move may in fact be upon us. We're seeing a lot of resilience in assets. We're seeing accumulation from large holders. I talked about my SHIB video earlier today. Institutional money just continues to buy and buy and buy. And frankly, ADA has been at this undervalued point for so long that it's just craving this move right here, this throw to the upside. We're going to get into a point where we start liquidating some shorts again. We're going to get into a point where we see that in terms of ADA, in terms of BTC, and frankly, where some of these developments and partnerships and things like that actually start playing a much bigger point in price. They haven't really done that as of late, but you can't sleep on the stuff forever. All right. It doesn't fall under the radar forever. People know what's going on. They're doing this in a strategic way. And like dz.eth says, this is probably not the time to sell ADA. Now, people can do what they want. Doesn't really matter to me. I'm set. I got my position. I've accumulated. I look for some of these opportunities to continue to buy again. If you guys want to check out my indicator, there is a 7-day free trial for that in the description below. So definitely feel free to utilize that while we're going through some volatility in the market. And I'm long-term. All right. I see the long-term vision. I know that there are much better times coming in this cycle. And I think right now, dumping at the bottom of consolidations isn't necessarily the smartest thing to do, but people can always do what they want. But appreciate you guys as always. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you think we're about to mimic what we saw in October of last year? Do you think this is the point where we start to see what we've seen historically? Appreciate you guys. Have a great day. Show your love below. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.